In today's episode, we are talking about ancestral clearing, and we are going to be talking about the mother wound from the point of view of ancestral healing and ancestral clearing. And there is going to be a part of the episode where it is a guided meditation / guided prayer that Elizabeth facilitates for us. And so if this is not your first time listening to this episode, that portion of the episode where it starts, I will have that in the timestamps below. Let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to Openly Spoken, the podcast to help you show up, speak out, and be seen in healthy relationships. On this show, we talk about self-love, sexuality, relationship tips, including ending the cycle of toxic relationships, and healing and thriving after heartbreak. Hi, I'm your host, Celia, and I am a certified sex, love, and relationship coach, helping ambitious women with a history of toxic relationships feel deeply connected in healthy love. These are such important topics that every woman deserves, so if you could leave this show a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to help more women find this, it would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for being here today. Now let's dive into the show. Welcome to Openly Spoken, the podcast to help you show up, speak out, and be seen in healthy relationships. I am joined today by Elizabeth Kipp. Elizabeth Kipp is a stress management and historical trauma specialist who uses trauma-trained and yoga-informed addiction recovery coaching, ancestral clearing, compassionate inquiry, and yoga to help people with their healing. Elizabeth healed from over 40 years of chronic pain, including anxiety, panic attacks, and addiction. Now in long-term recovery, she guides others to unleash their healing power, find freedom from suffering, and live a thriving life. She is the international best-selling author of The Way Through Chronic Pain, Tools to Reclaim Your Healing Power. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth.
Well, thank you so much. That was a lovely introduction. I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, I'm glad to have you. So I'm curious, as you come into this conversation, what is coming in with you today? What is on your heart? What is it like to be you today?
Oh, my goodness. Well, there's a lot happening in the world, and there has been a lot happening. This year just kind of came in like a comet. And my mantra, and I'm about to give a talk on it in a week or so. My mantra has been think cosmically, act locally.
Ooh, I love that.
That is how I have actually been able to stay. Yeah, and I'm sitting in the center of the United States. The geographic center of the United States is right down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, I know this is kind of dramatic, but I feel like when I do my grounding, that I'm helping ground the nation.
I don't think that's dramatic at all. So, I think energetically that has to be true.
Well, that was, at least the intention there. I've been involved with Lynn McTaggart's power of intention work for some time. So very interesting science there, kind of cause and effect. Isn't that interesting? So energetically, sure. I think what we put out means something.
Yeah.
Right. So think cosmically, keep track of my higher power, right? Act locally. What's the need of the moment?
Yeah.
Right. That's centering for me.
Think cosmically, act locally. I love it so much. And it's so funny that you bring up the power of intention work, because someone just last week asked me to join one of their groups. Is this the same author that invites readers to make groups where you sit and you set the same intention?
I don't know about that part. I know she has a big worldwide thing happening that started on Saturday, I think it was, and goes for it's a 5-day intention setting around one specific intention, and it's very interesting, that work. Now, what I thought was so interesting about that is that and just see if that aligns with what you're talking about, is that Lynn McTaggart found that that in groups of 8 or more, that when you have an intention, a group intention, that not only does that other party, whatever your attention is being put on, the intention, like healing a person, for instance, not only does that person have an increase in their healing, but the group itself has a positive effect on the group, which is kind of interesting to me. I have a science background, so I'm always asking, what are the measurables? Can you repeat it? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we're actually here in Lawrence, Kansas. There's a group of sound healers that we get together in groups of 8 or more. We'll bring, if other people want to come in, they're welcome. But we have a core group of 8, and we do work around the area with the intention of just healing. And it's been very interesting. And they asked me to come in. I mean, I do play the gong, but I'm not known, like, it wasn't part of my bio. Like, I'm not known as a sound, but like as a gong player. I do that because I'm a yoga teacher, but I, every once in a while I get with a group and play the gong. But actually, they asked me to come in and run the Ancestral Clearing prayers with the sound through the sound matrix, and which is what we'll talk about around the Mother Wound, the Ancestral Clearing work. It's prayer work, but it's addressing ancestral burden.
Yeah,
that we carry, and it's helpful to be able to release the burden that we carry from the ancestors to kind of help clear the landscape for us, so we're not burdened with that weight, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it kind of, moving forward, kind of clears the lens of what we see moving forward and how we can act moving forward, because we're not acting from trauma.
Sure, exactly. Like, well, it's the effects of trauma. For example, one of the things that I do ancestral clearing as a kind of a regular thing, kind of every day somewhere on the planet with somebody. It's kind of bread and butter in my business. There's a couple of main themes. One of them is scarcity. And another one is this worry energy. And I think about both of those, that our ancestors had times of scarcity that they had to address, and that had an impact and imprint in their lives. And we'll get into the mother wound in a minute. And women were pregnant when that happened, and then the developing baby is swimming in the biology, the physiology of the mother, and she's in, and that little one is impacted, and the energy of worry. Oh my goodness, that's got a whole physiology all by itself.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets imprinted in the lineage, and we clear for that a lot. Now, if we're burdened with scarcity, that scarcity energy and or worry energy that's not actually ours, but we kind of came in with it, it's, as you say, it's going to cloud the lens of the present moment experience, because it's energy that's kind of locked in the system.
Yeah.
And it takes energy to hold all that stuff. So one of the things we find when we do this work is we feel lighter. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy to hold up a certain world view or perspective when it's not our actual truth. Because when we are truth, there's a sense of surrender and relaxation, and we're just going through the world, being ourselves.
Yeah, it's more of an expansive experience rather than contractive. And that's one sign that I know for myself. Sometimes, because sometimes I can't tell what the cause is. We can get real complicated about it. But an expansive sensation is, now I'm in alignment with the flow, as it were. I'm in alignment with life. I'm not fighting life. I'm not trying to manipulate and all the things. But in the contractive, when I'm feeling contracted, now I'm attached to something. I'm forcing an outcome. I'm worried about. And worry is in the future. I'm not even in the present moment anymore. Right, that kind of thing. And what's interesting about the ancestral kind of concept is, from a quantum physics point of view, the past, present, and future exist all in the present moment. That's where we can access all of it. We access it through the present moment, which is why all possibility lies in the present moment. It's a very powerful space to hang out. But the thing that people ask me, and I have to give them my answer, which is not everybody's answer, is my answer. I can't tell, is this mine or is this my ancestors or what is it? And the way I look at it is, in any given moment, we're affected by our individual, what we've gone through individually. That's one. We're affected by our family, what the family dynamics is going on. Our community, really the collective. You could kind of blow that up into the collective energy in the present moment, and the ancestral. Mm-hmm. And I can't really always tease that out. And I'm not really sure that you need to tease it out, because now you're getting into a mind game, and we really want to get back in the body and the heart and kind of work from there. So, but people ask that question a lot, and I don't really know. I can't really tell the difference between one and the other necessarily, unless if it's something that's in my life. Worry energy is a good example, where I'm worried all the time, but I don't know why. That might be an indication that it's not mine, but it's either in the collective or it's ancestral. Right? But regardless of where it's coming from, we still got to go into the body and deal with it from that place and clear it from there.
Yeah. I would love for you to explain for people listening, what is ancestral clearing? And then, because we want to talk about the mother wound, what is maybe a unique perspective on what the mother wound is from that ancestral healing viewpoint?
Good questions. So ancestral clearing is actually a methodology that was pioneered by a man named Howard Wills. You can find him on his website. And then further developed, it is taught by a man named John Newton of healthbeyondbelief.com. He teaches people how to actually do the practice. Anybody can do this practice. I've been in it since 2014. And it's basically a prayer practice. We're actually asking Creator, source of all it is, whatever you call the thing that created all this, we're asking it to help us release that which no longer serves us. Mm-hmm. That's basically and we do it with the humility and gratitude, that please and thank you. And we use the word forgive very specifically to mean we're offering up that which no longer serves us. I give you an example. Since we're on the mother wound, I'll give you a little bit of a personal example. My mother was very difficult to live with, and as a child, and I got a lot of trauma. I just was kind of traumatized by all of that. And until I really did the work to heal that, I just had a lot of anger and frustration and, I don't even know how to handle this relationship and that kind of energy.
Yeah.
And I never knew really how to clear that. I never knew what to do with any of that. I knew that my mom was undiagnosed and untreated bipolar disorder. She was a chronic pain sufferer. And I had lots of empathy for her. And I gave her a lot of, well, of course she's this way because she's got this thing. But that's giving her, that's not attending to the wound that I have. That's kind of redirecting the energy, and that's not really attending to the my needs not getting met.
It does help you understand a bit, but it's still not healing your wound.
That's right. Yeah. And so this practice of, I can't do this alone. I can't release this alone. When I got into this practice, I asked Creator, please help me with this. Help me release whatever of this that no longer serves me, which was most of it. So not all of it, most of it. So it's just an example of how that offering up thing works and why we do it. Because if we could have released the burden, we would have. If we could have done it by ourselves, we would have, and we haven't been able to. So we ask a power greater than me. And what's interesting about the practice is, as I said, I've been in it since 2014. I was first introduced in 2013 and then became a practitioner in 2013. I began in 2014, I started as a practitioner, and I have yet to have, I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'm just saying so far, no one has come to me with an issue that this practice hasn't been able to address. And I think that's
ancestral clearing.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I think that's amazing. And let me tell you, people come in with issues, and I have I have my experience and my bona fides and stuff, but they come in, I'm not a therapist. They come in with things that I have no idea how to, I'm not the healer. I know how to do the process and get out of the way and let creator have this relationship with the client. And, and you see the results on a daily basis. It's quite humbling.
That's what I love about being a facilitator. Like, you don't have the answers. You're just facilitating the experience for your clients to find the answers themselves.
Exactly.
And, at first, in the beginning of a facilitator's journey, that might feel a little, I know for me, at least, you might have a little bit of anxiety of can I actually help people? But you really just see, as long as you are helping people make room for what truth is coming up within them, they're going to get something out of their time with you, because that's all it's about, is making room for what is true.
Exactly. And the other thing that we have in common in this space is, in ancestor clearing, we're going for an outcome in that it's a clear, and we're going for a clearing. But how much clearing occurs on the client side is not my call.
Yeah. And you probably can't force how much.
No, because then I think I'm doing the work, and I'm not doing the work. Creator's doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the client and their presence, and their working the process, and their willingness and their openness. So there's a whole dynamic going on there. All we're doing is we're kind of, directing just a little bit, and then we're just out of the way. And and that's a much more powerful. It's very hard to describe. You said it well, in terms of when we start, we kind of we're a little bit anxious because we haven't actually trusted the process yet.
Yeah.
Right. And we're a little bit, we're all a little bit evidence based anyway. That's how we keep safe in the world. Prove it to me and I'll believe it. Right? So we get our chops by doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So that's ancestral clearing, is this practice. There's about 30 different ways we can get at the burden, just in terms of from the questions that we ask and kind of the directions that we come in as practitioners. But creators doing the work, and the client's presence and willingness are the things that are important. And the other thing that's kind of interesting is, you don't have to believe in a higher power or creator or any of that for it to work. If you want help, that's all that's needed. Which is kind of interesting. And the way, from a science point of view, the way I kind of how does that work? It's you don't have to believe in gravity for it to work on you. Right? That I use kind of that simile, analogy to kind of explain. No, you don't have to believe in creator, but if you want the help, you can get it. So that's kind of fun. So that's what ancestral clearing is. And when you ask me the question, what is ancestral clearing? You're kind of asking me what's chocolate or what's ice cream, because you can't really understand what chocolate is or what ice cream is without experiencing it.
Yeah.
So I brought one way that we can bring in ancestral clearing in this format. I brought that in so we can do a clearing when you're ready. But I thought maybe we talk a little bit about the mother wound first.
Yeah.
So it's a big topic.
I know.
It's a big topic. I actually literally just got out of a book club kind of meeting where we were studying attachment theory, and it got into the mother stuff. That was interesting. From an ancestral clearing point of view, we can look at the spiritual, and we can look at the science. Spiritual teachers have been telling us, and this is just not about the mother wound, this is just generally, that we come into this life with the gift and the burdens of our ancestors. Science understands, has kind of understood that we pass things down through the DNA and the environment. So there's the DNA, and then which is the hardware. It's like the hardware on the computer. And then there's the epigenetic, the software, like what program are we putting on the computer? Those things all have an effect. And mostly Ancestral Clearing looks at the epigenetic, this software aspect, which is the environment and our kind of predisposition to certain things happen in the environment, and we act in a certain way based on that software on the programming that we come in with. So if we have an experience, just as a kind of an example to explain that, if we have an experience, Rachel Yehuda and her team actually did work on this. If we have ancestors who were in the Holocaust, and then you look at their descendants of people that experienced the Holocaust, you see that the way that they handle stress hormones is different.
Yeah.
Than the population that didn't experience the Holocaust. That was amazing to me. Now, on another level, so that's for human. On another level, let's just look at mammals. There's a man that ran a rat lab raising rats, and all the baby rats are working in the common area, whether it's playing in the common area one day, and the guy that runs the rat lab takes a cat hair. These are baby rats. Takes a cat hair, drops it in the center, and they all flee.
Oh, wow.
But they've never met a cat.
Yeah, it's in their DNA.
So what is that? Another one is, now this is how it can be kind of interesting. We're not all the same. I think snakes are pretty amazing. Like, I find them like fascinating and alluring, and I almost got bitten by a copperhead because I didn't know it was a copperhead, and they didn't bite. They're very gentle, but I just had I just didn't. It was like I had to learn that in this lifetime on the planet, right? But I have made peace with the spiders 3 different times in my life. I came in with a phobia, but just kind of like, I'm not even sure I would describe as a phobia. It's kind of like they're not allowed in my territory like that. It's kind of,
I can relate.
So that's been very interesting to me. And this work has been very powerful in helping me clear that. And I won't take time because we want to spend time on the mother one, but I'm just saying, like, that's a whole story.
Mm-hmm.
But it gives you an example of some people are scared of snakes and spiders. Some are afraid of bees. I don't care about bees particularly in terms of, I'm not afraid of them. I mean, even when they sting me, I'm like, well, I guess I got in their way. Right. So it's just a little bit different. So we all have these different things that are imprinted in that basic software that we kind of come in with.
Mm-hmm.
The mother wound is interesting because understanding the science there, when our grandmother was pregnant with our mother, the egg that was us when our mother was like months, a 4-month-old fetus, the egg that was us develops.
Yeah.
So now, so now we're spending time in our mother for all that time, and we're spending time in our grandmother. We're actually swimming in the energetic. We talked about the energetic stuff and the physiology, all the chemistry, the biochemistry that's going on there, all the things all the reactions to the emotional reactions to whatever's happening, scarcity, worry, all the things. So that's profound. So we're affected by our mother and our grandmother, but it gets deeper than that because our grandmother was in her grandmother. And her grandmother was in her grandmother. And now we're going all the way back, and we're holding the imprints of the matriarchal lineage. And we're not even get into the guys. We're just talking about the mother one today. So that's profound to me. And, I talk about this fairly often, but every time I get to that part, I'm still kind of blown away by that we're affected at that level.
Yeah.
And it's just not something I was raised understanding. It wasn't until I don't even think science understood that until fairly recently.
Yeah, I don't even think I heard about it until 3 years ago or something. I don't know if that was when it first was discovered or not. But what I find powerful about that scientific discovery and about, mother wound healing and even ancestral healing is, for me, from the experience part of it, is that it takes me out of my own ego and experience, and it reminds me that my individual view and my individual experience is somewhat of an illusion. And this kind of work like brings you back to like, you are not you're not you are all of your ancestors. You are,
That's
you know, part of this like collective human family. Like, and even, you know, with the spider thing, like for me, what helped me not like, I don't kill spiders anymore. I used to, but now if I see one in the house, I'll like take it outside so it can live. Because for my mindfulness practice, like even that same thing came up where it's like me and the spider are the same. The spider is just in a spider body and I'm in a human body. And so all of this work kind of like helps you step back and gets you out of the like ego, you did this to me, and, you know, all of that illusion stuff.
Yeah, the illusion of separation. I mean, you're over there and I'm over here, and that there is that separation, but that's about where it ends. You know? And like we said, wow, you know, we're in the stream of the matriarchs. We're in the stream there, and we're in the stream of the collective present moment matriarchs as well.
Yeah.
So that, you know, and I just got the shivers again.
Me too. Me too.
It's like, that's a lot, right? So,
yeah.
So when I get lost, when my mind has its way with me and convinces me, right? Or I'll take my power back and I'll say, I allow it to convince me, right? That I'm lost, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm floating out somewhere that's, you know, on some periphery somewhere. This kind of stuff reminds me that's an illusion, right? Because we're the sum of our experiences. One of the ways I kind of like to look at the information we come in with is from kind of an evolution point of view. I studied evolutionary biology. I've got a foot in the biology world, mostly through plant science and ecosystems. But I studied animal behavior, and I studied some evolutionary biology. And it seems to me that the system of that we've got, we're reproduction, one generation after another, trial and error again and again, one generation after another. There's information that's passed. And it seems to me that the couple things. One is whatever I came in with and you came in with in this generation, the information is the system's best guess at what we're going to have to deal with. Right? And if it's like other systems, which it seems to be, I'm not saying I know everything. I'm saying it's what I perceive. It's what my hunch is that there's noise in the system. There's give and take in the system. So some of the stuff we come in with is maybe we don't need it, but most of the stuff we come in with, we're probably going to tap at some point in our life, and that gets passed on and to, you know, my son, you know, picked it up and moves on through the generations. The trials and tribulations that we go through, they have an impact on the physiology, on the energetic, all of it. And the way the system passes it on is through through this reproductive method. Just in terms of that kind of ancestry, then we talked about the immediate, the collective, and that influence as well. But we're really, because it's there as well. But the mother wound comes in honestly, but it's not necessarily fixed. So we come in with the burdens of the mothers, but we could heal them. That's what's so beautiful about Ancestral Clearing. Is great at that. Yoga is great at that. There's other ancestral healing methods that are helpful, and you probably know some stuff that I don't even some ways that I don't even know about. But there are ways that like the shaman work, indigenous people, they work with this energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like we're stuck with it.
Yeah.
We have the power to affect our reality. And it's like we said, it's an epigenetics, the software, so we can change the programming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then what's going on when we're coming in with the information of and burden of all the mothers before us, and we are born to a mother who isn't able to have a healthy relationship with us?
Yeah, that's an example of my experience. I think you and I both had that experience.
Why I
asked. Well, I'll tell you how I dealt with it. I got by on my wits because I didn't really have any tools. The tools were what I came in with. Like, it was kind of, for me, it was like, sit down, shut up. Nobody wants to hear from you. And if I didn't do those things, there was hell to pay. So I learned to withdraw.
So did I.
And that's a strategy that I didn't think that up. It was, there it was. It's like, quiet, that's fight, flight, shutdown.
You're keeping yourself safe.
Exactly. Yeah. So the first thing that we come in is, this is how do we stay safe in this world? Generally, the way that, I mean, I could get into that too, but the way the survival brain generally works is it's like fight, flight, and then the shutdown is the third option. The problem that I see with that shutdown, where we're told, sit down, be quiet, or there's going to be hell to pay, and now we've got the energy in our body, and we don't know what to do with it. But somehow in the system, there is a way that we know how to suppress it. Now, it doesn't. In the short term, it serves us because it keeps us safe. But when we keep using that again and again, now we're in chronic stress, and now we're on that now we've got a stress response stuck in the on position. It never has a chance to be at balance and go back in the off position. Now we're hypervigilant all the time. Now we've learned to walk in the world because we're walking on eggshells, and wherever we put our foot, maybe it's going to be a problem. Now we've taught the nervous system, this is how we do life. And that's caustic. This is called chronic stress. This is why I do what I do. Yeah. This is why I do the ancestral piece first with everybody, because if we carry that stuff and we can release the ancestral burden, then we can begin to do the work in the present moment to rewire the brain and the nervous system to act in a different way. We come in wired with, like, there are only so many strategies that we have to keep ourselves safe, and they're all predictable. Yeah,
that's true.
So that's the answer to your question, if that's kind of what you were looking for.
Yeah, there's also, you said fight, flight, and freeze. Do you also know about the fawn response?
Yeah, there's the fawn, there's the people pleasing. That's another. There's the like accommodating, and then there's the Stephen Porges talks about one other that's kind of like negotiating. Like, only he has a different word for it. It's another A word. But they're different ways of finding safety in the world. Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned that scarcity and worry comes up a lot in ancestral healing. What have you seen comes up with mother wound healing? Is it the same two things, or are there different things?
Actually, I don't really see scarcity and worry energy with the mother wound so much. I see a lot of heart chakra stuff. What's interesting is when we work with the heart, just because I have a yoga practice and I'm a yoga teacher and I'll always be a student of yoga, but I have studied a lot. If there's an issue with so there's 7 chakras, main chakras that we work with, and the heart is the 4th chakra. And if we're doing work, if we notice that there's an imbalance in the heart chakra, which would be like jealousy, betrayal, unrequited love, self-worth, self-esteem issues, those kinds of things, we actually have to make sure that the lower 3 chakras are also cleared before we can even clear the 4th one. In Ancestral Clearing, I always go, when I see a heart thing with the mother wound, I always start at the base, which is like family, relationships, safety, resources. So always clearing for that stuff. And then we work on creative energy in that second chakra, creative energy, sexual hurts and wrongs, things like that. And then the solar plexus is standing in your power, shame, guilt, those kinds of things. So, if you've got, we hear it from the client in the heart, but we begin below that and we clear for all those different aspects. I really see the mother wound as all those 4 chakras. And then the other thing that's interesting when we get up into, of course, there can be the throat as well, which is that I don't have a voice. I'm not allowed to speak up.
Yeah.
Or lies we were told, or lies we told to others. Or another one, so around the throat's kind of interesting, is trying to keep the truth from spilling out.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
There's that one, right?
Yeah.
And then when you get up into the third eye and the crown chakra, there's many things that we clear for that, but the one I wanted to bring in here was that the energy of the betrayal or the where's the love or the self-esteem or the shame or whatever the thing is that's kind of feeding into that heart wound, that mother wound, can show up. The energy alone can show up as a kind of a bully energy itself. That its energy alone is this controlling energy, trying to give you an example.
Kind of an inner critic, kind of.
Yeah, an inner critic is a good example where you're actually bullied by the energy that you're experiencing, and that's a wound that's up in the upper 2 chakras. So we clear for, there are many, like I said, there's many intuitive things. There's all kinds of other things that we clear for, but that one in particular, that kind of immense energy of a controlling dictator, which I call bullying energy, that energy, I feel comes from the mother wound.
Yeah.
It's not the only place that energy comes from, but the mother wound actually can have that.
Yeah. And if at the level of the throat chakra, you're preventing the truth from spilling out, then up in the third eye, there can be a lot of just like overriding your intuition.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Just absolutely. Like ignoring it.
Because if this is blocked, now we're going to have issues with intuition and connection to higher power. Well, those are kind of the main 2. But there's other things, but those are the kind of the main 2 on the upper 2 chakras. So but like I said, it feels to me like it's really a heart wound, and of course we have to clear the safety and all that, the lower chakras. But the more I do the work, and maybe you notice this in your work, not only does the client get cleared, but my stuff gets cleared because we're both working in the present moment and we're working with creator energy and. We get cleared. And one of the things that I've noticed over the years, especially maybe in the last, 9 months or so, is that just huge heart opening, like way huge expansive heart in me, which I never even imagined
for you
was possible. Thank you. Well, what was interesting was I was listening to a British woman who does astrology. She's well known, but I can't remember her name right now. And she was talking about the astrology of the time as being this huge heart-opening time. And I know Lee Harris has talked about the cosmic heart, and someone else is talking about the sacred heart. So there's a lot of people that are kind of talking about heart energy right now. And that's actually been my lived experience, it's been much more heart-opening. So very helpful that we do this work.
Yeah, I've experienced the heart opening as well in my like personal practice with the mother wound, because the most recent healing I've been doing is really making space to grieve what I didn't have, like in deeper ways than ever before, because I've been working on my mother wound for 10 years. As I process and digest the grief and even make room to feel the rage and the anger I feel, when I really make space for that, and that is, that energy is done with me and it moves on, the only thing that is left that's present is a deep, deep love for my mother.
There you go.
And then I'm like, that makes so much sense, because if I didn't love her, I wouldn't care that, all of these unmet needs that I had. It makes total sense. And that, I think, that's a space you have to have patience for to get to with the mother wound, because what that then opens up is you have more compassion for your mom. And it's really hard to have compassion for someone that you view as someone who hurt you.
Or who's a threat.
Or is a threat, or is dangerous to you, or someone you need to have very strong boundaries with. Because if you go straight to the compassion and straight to the forgiveness and even straight to the gratitude, because I wouldn't change a thing about my life. I'm grateful for it. But if you try to go to that from the beginning of your healing journey, you're just gaslighting your own emotion.
Yeah, that's going to short circuit the whole situation.
Yeah, you have to get there organically whenever you're ready. It's like what you were saying about the ancestral clearing. It's not up to you how much clearing happens.
Yeah, it's really between you and Creator. Speaking of which, I'd love to do a short clay, and maybe take me about 3 minutes to do a clearing for everyone. Is that okay?
Sure.
It's a clearing. Yeah, so if you feel safe to do so, close your eyes, and we'll do this for us, and we'll use Divine Creator as our source, however the name for our higher power. I don't think it cares what we call it. I don't think it has an ego, but we'll call it Divine Creator. And so wherever you are, if you feel safe to do so, close your eyes. Notice what sensation you feel in your body. Like I feel my sitting bones on the chair and my feet on the floor, and I have a little bit of sensation in my left arm, upper and lower arm. And I give all that sensation on a scale from 0 to 10. I would give it about a 3.5. So just notice what that is for you and where the sensation is. And just let these breathe normally and let these words just pass over you. Divine Creator, all that you are, thank you for the gift of life and connection. We ask humbly that you please help us in all our relationships and all of our ancestors and all of their relationships. Throughout all space, time, timelines, lives, lifetimes, realms, and incarnations. For any time there was a rupture in the relationship between mother and child in the womb, through the birth experience, as a newborn, or at any other time, and for all that led up to it and arose from it, including unhealthy beliefs or limitations, for poor boundaries, an unrealized sense of self, or poor self-esteem. Please help us all, everyone involved, to forgive one another and forgive ourselves, please and thank you. Remembering, we use the word forgive to mean offering up that which no longer serves us. For any time mothers felt fearful or powerless in the face of the experience of conception, gestation, or birth, and any adverse effects this had on both the mother and the child, for all injustice, anger, regret, or letdown around any unhealthy womb or birth experiences, including sexual diseases, miscarriage, or abortion, and for any guilt or shame that followed. For any time anyone felt a sense of shame or that there was something wrong with them, but they didn't know why, please help us all to forgive and release everyone involved, and help us forgive and release ourselves. Please and thank you. For any codependence that developed between mothers and children through the entire lineage, and for all that arose from it, including but not limited to caretaking others to the point of resentment and exhaustion, for neediness or feeling we had to have the approval of others in order to act rather than stand on our own power and act from there. Please help everyone involved, directly or indirectly, to forgive and release one another and forgive and release themselves. Please and thank you. For any time women felt the weight of the obligation to bear children but didn't experience the joy of it, and for all that the children felt because of it. For any time anyone felt the pressure of having to live the unrealized dreams of the mother rather than their own. For any time anyone felt they had to play it small in life rather than rise to their full potential, please help everyone involved to forgive one another and forgive themselves, please and thank you. Divine Creator, please help all the mothers forgive all the children. Help all the children forgive all the mothers. Help all the fathers forgive all the children, and all the children forgive all the fathers. Help all the women forgive all the men, and help all the men forgive all the women. Please help them all forgive each other throughout the entire lineage, for all that happened and didn't happen, and for all anyone made it mean, and for all the letdown because of it, for all of it, for once and for all, now and forever. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. And just take a nice big breath in and let it out, and notice how that feels. If it's bigger, smaller, or different than when you started.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That was so lovely. I can't wait to listen back to it too. I'll do it again.
Beautiful. Yeah, the replay is just as powerful because we're working in the present moment, remember, and we can access past, present, and future all at once.
I would love to transition into questions I ask every guest at the end.
There you go.
The first one is, what does self-love mean to you?
Oh, my goodness. Peace within. Peace within. Anything that I do that helps me find peace within is self-love.
And what makes you feel the most grounded?
I would say, where are my sitting bones and where are my feet? Because that reminds me that I'm supported.
Asking yourself that question?
Yeah. But reminding myself where my feet are and where my sitting bones are, and noticing that the breath is breathing me. So life is flowing through me, and the ground, the earth is supporting me. So what's the problem? There's no problem.
Yeah.
Right in the moment. Right. So there's grounding and centering right there. Yeah. That's very helpful for me. I know it sounds really simple, but try it.
Can you share, because you have that like biology experience and research, can you share there is, when we're breathing, we're not actually like sucking in air. There's just like a muscle that we're relaxing. And because of the difference in air pressure, our breath is happening on its own.
Yeah, that's the diaphragm, right? The diaphragm muscle, which is the largest muscle in the body. I think the heart's the strongest muscle, but the diaphragm is the largest muscle in the body. And so when we breathe in, it goes down, and when we exhale, it comes up again. And just the pressure, just that is what provides it. The heart, of course, is connected into the so those two are connected. Now, that's true that the breath breathes us, and there's a lot of power in conscious breathing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When you actually leverage the power of the breath, there's a lot of power there. And I think that answers your question. Yeah. I could go on and on because I teach courses on this. I won't.
What is your favorite part about being a woman?
My heart.
And because of the topic of this call, because you mentioned that you have a son, I would love to know what your favorite part is about being a mother.
This is all heart-related work.
Yeah.
I really feel, this may sound strange, but I think any other mother will get this. The most powerful lesson that my child has taught me is how deep, how vast the well of love is in the heart. And I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way. This child came in like a love bomb. He's a very loving person, but this was just been an experience. It's very hard to put words around because it's physical, but this is the thing. Yeah. How vast the heart energy really is.
Yeah, I can imagine. So for people who have tuned in, let us know where we can connect with you and anything you'd like to share about your work.
Oh, sure. You can find me at my website, which is my name, Elizabeth, with a hyphen between my first and last name, Elizabeth with a dash, Kipp.com. All my social media is there. There's lots of free resources, events, all things I'm up to. You can find me either on social media, you can find on my website. So, yeah.
Perfect. And that will be linked in the show notes.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much.